Hi, welcome to ASL with Crystal, Ann, and friends. This is a new edition that we are doing, and so I have a friend, my interpreter, Kristina Moutrey. So this is the continuation where we left off on my story. So I hope you enjoy our story, and Kristina is going to interpret for the deaf, and me as well. So I'm going to give it over to Kristina.
Thank you so much for having me here. I am excited to share our story. Before we met, that there's a little bit to the story before. So I want to explain some of that first. So August of 2018, I was praying and God just hit me with a word and basically told me what I needed to do. He said, you need to learn ASL and also become friends with Crystal Ann. Now, we had met a few times just over the years, but never really connected with each other. And so I said, Lord, why do you want me to do that? Like, I don't know any deaf, and Crystal Ann and we've only met a few times. I live in Georgia right now, so I'm not really involved with the community over here in Tennessee. And then the Lord told me, He said, languages take a long time to learn, and if you are faithful with it now, then I will bless it later. And I was like, okay, I surrender. So I started by taking up a class in Chattanooga. It's a place called Partnership. And so I took up an ASL level 1 and level 2 just to get started. And then I contacted Crystal Ann. So that was September of 2019. So we met at the Cracker Barrel. And I was really excited because I felt like, okay, Lord, I'm doing it. I'm going to see, your plan just unfold. So we met at the restaurant, and it wasn't bad, but it wasn't what I expected. Do you want to explain any of that, or do you want
Yes.
me to share?
Yeah. Well, so what happened was I was not really excited. I didn't remember Christina, but I had gone through a lot of hurt in my life and some disappointments. Sad to say, church hurt, and so I hadn't been signing as much. I just it was just, I would say, deep depression, and with the Meniere's disease that I explained earlier in my story. I've just felt like I was going through a personality change, just struggling with all the things that I was going through, and with the disease. It was just hard. So for me not to sign, I didn't even interact with the deaf as much as I normally do because of this depression. And so when I met Christina, she was just a very lovely person, and we had good conversation, but I still wasn't into it. I wasn't being myself, which is a very happy, joyful person. But she met me at that time when I was going through the things I was going through, and so I remember going out with her outside Cracker Barrel, and I knew there was more that the Lord was trying to show me, but I wasn't ready. And I know that the Lord also knew I wasn't ready. It was all in His timing. But I remember looking into Christina's eyes and thinking, there's so much more, but I'm not ready for it yet. And by the way, her sign name, for those who know sign name, why we do this sign name, it was because of her beautiful green eyes. She has such beautiful green eyes. And with the K, Kristina is her sign name. So I'll turn it over to you.
So Yes, that day at the restaurant, I just felt disappointed, like maybe I didn't hear the Lord right. And so I definitely felt like, Lord, I don't know what to do from this point. I started taking up classes. I tried to get connected with Crystal Ann, but it just wasn't, nothing was happening. Okay, so fast forward a year. It was November of 2020. My family and I, we started going to a new church. We had been visiting for maybe a year, but not really connecting or plugging in. And I saw Crystal Ann walking by. And then because I was experiencing a lot of church hurt, and I just had a, it was challenging to try to connect with people. I wasn't ready. So I saw her and completely ignored her. And then maybe just a few weeks later, she noticed me and I was hiding on purpose. But then she hunted me down and pulled me in and forced me to go to the worship and sign class that she had recently started. So, do you want to talk about that?
Yes. So after I started, I was still depressed and going to the church, and I just was. If you've seen my story, I used to teach liturgical dancing and worship. I'm a worshiper. I just wanted to worship the Lord, but because of the vertigo that I experienced, I was concerned about doing anything. So I was just feeling sorry for myself and praying and saying, Lord, I just want to worship you. And I just felt in my heart that the Lord was saying, but I've given you your hands. It's just like, yes, I can still worship with my hands. I can't do it with my feet, but the Lord has given me my hands. But basically, what I was doing was putting my hands under me because I didn't want to use my hands to worship and or anything. And I did it from time to time, but it um, so in the service while I was experiencing that, our pastor's wife uh, come up in front and she said, I know there's many people in this congregation that wants to worship the Lord. There's many ways to worship the Lord. And so I've just felt like the Lord was saying to me, you should do this. This is a good thing. And so I just felt like, okay, Lord, I'm just going to give this to you. I'm just going to let everything go. And so the next morning, after praying, I called my pastor's wife and said, I feel like I am to start a class and I'm going to name it Worship and Sign. And of course, she was very, very joyful about that and said, go ahead, Crystal Ann, do that. And so for over about 5.5 years, I have been doing on a weekly basis, teaching more people to worship the Lord. And it's just been a beautiful thing. And if you see all the videos that I've posted, those are videos coming from the class through all these years. It's just been a beautiful experience. And so Kristina was talking about the class. And at the time, I would go in the back and I would worship the Lord with a few of my signers. And so one day I asked Kristina, well, basically, I told Kristina, I want you to come to the back of the church and worship the Lord with me. And she was very reluctant. In fact, she was so funny. She was like, my family needs me. And so teasingly, and I said, no, 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 no. I did not know that Kristina told me that when she gets scared or have anxiety, her face turns red. I felt so sorry for her because there were so many people with their backs turned, so nobody was watching us. And so she was signing with us in the back of the room. I want to say that again. And I looked over at her, and she was just sweating, and her face was so red. And it was, bless her heart, but look at her now. She's my interpreter. But it was really, I felt so bad for her, but I can't help but laugh about that experience. So after that, did you want to share?
Well, I just wanted to add, it was terrifying. I did not like signing with people around. I was like a it was like a closet signer. I was always in private, at home, in my car, just alone. It was a opportunity to worship in a visual way. So when you forced me, and I mean, and drug me away from my family, I was terrified. But looking back, I see that God was really just opening up my heart to be able to receive the things that he would have for me later. So he started using you to kind of pull me back, and he was gracious by allowing it to be in the back of the room, not in front, but it was in the back, and it was a soft way for me to kind of enter into that space. So
Yeah.
so thank you. I didn't like it before, but I'm thankful now looking back. So
Yes. And so we realized that we needed to get an interpreter, especially for me and my hearing loss, and was inviting deaf to come. We had one precious friend come in and interpret. And that was the day that the professor over at Lee University was there, and she's seen Kristina signing, um, interpreting, and she said, Crystal Ann, that Kristina has potential. Has she ever considered going over to Lee University to take up the ASL classes? And I said, oh no. So she went on to further explain that to me. I got so excited that I ran after Christina's mother and told her about it. And then Lawan Bradford spoke to Christina about the possibility of her taking up classes. And I'll let you share that, Chris.
and then you told Bradford to find me and explain the same thing, and I said, but I'm old. I was, maybe 35 at the time, and I just thought I've missed that, opportunity. But God said, no, you can still do that. And I had just prayed about it, and I said, Lord, I don't want to be overwhelmed with school. I have children and other responsibilities that I don't want to miss on that because I'm so focused on school. So I said, it was just all of a sudden the idea popped up. Ask Dr. Bradford if you can audit the class. And I was like, that's interesting. So I contacted her and said, is it possible if I could audit the class? And she said, yeah, we can do that. So I took up the ASL level 1 class, and it was really good. It was a good opportunity to get involved with other students, to be able to practice with a lot of people, because the first 2 years I was alone. I was teaching my dog ASL so I could practice and practicing with my kids. So I had some opportunity, but it was very limited because I wasn't involved in the deaf community yet. So meeting with you and then getting connected with Bradford and then going to Lee gave me the opportunity to really just dive into the language and learn it. Let's see, September of 2022, I started interpreting at our church. I wasn't good, but I was trying with everything I had. I was offering it up to the Lord. And it was a really good opportunity to be able to develop my skills as an interpreter. also signing with you helped me to develop my skills of simcomming, because simcomming is pretty challenging. So God blessed me with these opportunities to be able to develop all the skills that I would need to be able to go forward. In that time, I started meeting all the different deaf in our area. You already knew many of the deaf, but I was not yet involved in the community. So I started going to deaf chats and just getting involved. And it's a beautiful community of people that we have here. And I have a lot of really good friends that I'm thankful for. And if I had not obeyed God when he said to learn ASL and get to know Crystal Ann, I would have missed those friendship opportunities. And so it's a good reminder when God tells you to do something strange, or you can't understand, you can't see the why, just know that God is leading you to a place that you can't see. But if you're faithful, he will bless it. Speaking of blessings, in May of 2023, I was invited to chaperone for a college group going on a missions trip to Jamaica, and stayed at a deaf village for 9 days. And that opportunity again was because I said yes. So it's just an encouragement to let you know that if you follow him, he will continue to bless you and develop you in everything that you do. Recently, in August of 2025, I took up a job as an interpreter. All these things have led to this point, and I know that God will be faithful to continue to develop the ministry that we're involved in. There are many people that started learning ASL because of the worship and sign group. There's so much support for each other, and it's just a beautiful thing. So if God says to do something and it seems a little strange, just lay that down, trust him, and know that he will bless it. So do you want to add anything?
I just think the main thing is that we're to look at the moral of the story, and our story is obedience, and that he will lead us. The steps of the righteous one are ordered by the Lord, and he definitely ordered our steps together. And what seemed to be so difficult and so challenging turned out to be such a wonderful blessing. And that's our story.